Hello everyone, and welcome to the first video on my new channel. The first video I'll be doing is a pretty quick one, pretty simple. I'm sure anybody that owns these vehicles know about how the doors close on these things. Usually you don't slam them, it won't latch. And I actually myself found out recently that these door striker bolts are actually supposed to have a plastic bushing on them. I've replaced them on my 91 truck already, and it makes quite a bit of difference. See, all of them are missing. The half latch is a lot louder. You really gotta slam it hard to get it to latch. So I'll be going into replacing those today, and I'll show you the different tools you'll need and the process and to do it. Alright guys, I'm in the building now where I'll be doing part of the repair. I wanted to show you guys these bushings are here. I got these at Advanced Auto Parts. If you look them up on the website, you may not be able to get them to pull up. Maybe use the part number, you might be able to. This is a Dorman part. It's not listed vehicle specific, so if you search it with your vehicle, it's probably not going to come up. I just happened to drive over there anyway, and I happened to see them, and they do work. I have used them already. So you can definitely get these. They're a couple dollars a piece. You get 2 short ones, 2 long ones, and they usually have a couple of them in stock. I found 2 at one store. They had another package at another store. So it's pretty easy. If you search them online, you can probably have to order them from somewhere. Take a couple days to get them, or you can just run over to Advanced Auto Parts. Probably any other store. I haven't checked Napa or Fisher's or AutoZone, but they probably have something similar. Now, some of the tools you'll be needing for this job is going to be, this is a star bit. It's a T50, a 3/8 breaker bar. You'll also need a couple of Phillips screwdrivers. I just have a flathead, just in case you have to pop anything loose specifically. Also, on the front doors, you'll have to take the seat belt loose at the top. It's either a 13/16, so this is actually a 21. It fits a little loose, but it works. And then you'll need, you're also going to need a couple of either a piece of pipe or a couple of 3/8 drive sockets. I'll show you what that's for when we get started. These striker bolts, the socket fits pretty well, but you'll probably have to tap it in a little bit because of the paint that gets in there, makes the shrink a little bit. They're not generally real tight. There you go. Now, see back here where it bolts in, you can actually move this around and adjust it if you need to. So if your door is hitting and it feels like it's dragging, and you can see that it's been striking the metal there, you can adjust it a little bit. Also, when you watch, you unscrew this, that piece is going to fall down into the body. But luckily it's not too big of a deal. Actually what you'll end up doing is taking this panel apart right through here. It's just a few Phillips screws, and then I was talking about the seat belt earlier. You'll pop this loose, and then there's the bolt. So you just take that bolt loose, lay the seat belt down on the seat or something out of the way, and then just be taking this screw, and then there's one here, and then 2 down here, and then you can snake it out of there, and then you can reach in through an access and pick up the nut there. So once you get the bolt off, you have to get these washers off of here. There's sort of a couple of them will come right off. The last one usually gets a little stuck. You almost have to thread it off. but it's not too bad. Take the washers off. This is the one that's kind of threaded on there. Alright, so once you do that, you get the washers off. Open this up and just match the size. Now remember, the washer is going to hit here, so you need to make sure it's going to fit. So the long one is actually going to be too long, so we just need one of the short ones. Now when you go to put it on there, you'll see that it won't actually go on there. So what you're going to have to do is press it on. It's not a real tight fit, but it will need a little bit of pressure to get it to go on there. Now what I did is I have a little bearing press over here. And that's where the 3/8 socket comes in. You'll want to find a socket or a piece of pipe that will sit on here on top of your bushing, but will go over the threads, because you don't want to, obviously press a socket onto your thread. So, and also Advance also had a listing for the whole bolt and bushing together, but they didn't have it in stock, and I don't think it was specifically listed for the vehicle. So I just went ahead and got the bushings. There's nothing really wrong with the bolts. It's cheaper that way, and it's not really too much more work. Now, so what you're going to do is you're just going to set the socket on top of that, hold this steady, just get it centered up, steady, and then you can press on. You'll see it's kind of bulges out a little bit, but then it goes right on. Now I am going to try this with just a hammer to see if that will work. I mean, snug it down a little bit, but you don't want to press too hard once it hits down, because it is plastic, so it will break pretty easily. But I will try this with a hammer, kind of the same concept. I'll set it on something solid, put this over it, and try to hit it with a hammer. That I'm pretty sure will work, and I know not everybody has a a bearing press that they can use. I mean, this is a pretty cheap one. I think it was about $100. I think I got it on Amazon, and it's a good tool to have if you're going to be doing a lot of work like that. There'll be other videos where I'll show where you'll need it, and probably a couple of jobs where you're not going to be able to use a hammer or anything to do what it does, because you're striking something with a hammer, it's inaccurate. You might hit sideways, might hit yourself, whereas this is a constant pressure, so it really doesn't have any shock to it. So once you get your bushing back on, get your washers. Thicker washer goes on first. Just like that. And then the two thinner ones. I don't think it makes any difference, but you can also look, you can see this pattern right here, this kind of square pattern. That's the opening in the body where it travels through the bolt. So this is the last one that goes on, and it's facing towards the truck. Just slide it more like that, and then you're done. So put it back on, and I'll show you how to take the panel off.
Hey guys, I inserted this little clip from when I did the striker bolts on the K5 Blazer. The video angle that I had for the Suburban didn't show very good when I had the bolt in the shop trying to put the bushing on, so I just inserted this part coming up to better, so you could actually visually see the bolt and what I was talking about. And then I went ahead and inserted the section of installing the striker bolt on the 85 Blazer, because it does give you a little extra tidbit in case you have a Blazer as opposed to a Suburban, and hopefully that'll help out a little bit there.
Alright, so just gonna unscrew it. It stays in place. Alright, so once you get it out, I'm gonna have to tap the socket here a little bit to get loose. You see the square pattern here, so you'll know which one goes towards the body. You just slide them off. You can kind of see there's actually some rust behind it. It's actually cracked a little bit here too. That may be something I'll have to address later on, but so you can see it goes like this. There's actually two washers here that get a little stuck together, but you can pull them apart, but it doesn't really matter. You just lay them to the side. Now this one you kind of have to unthread. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's a little bit difficult. You might have to hold it with a pair of pliers. Let's see if we can get this one off. Just unthread it. And then you're good to go. So now we're ready to put the bushing on it. Open them up. You got two different sizes here. And just kind of match them up. Now obviously this one's too long because your washers sit here, so that would be too long. You could cut it, but the short one actually works pretty much perfect. You don't really need it all the way to the very edge anyway. Now you put it on there, you can't just push it on there with your hands. Now there's a couple things you can do. You can take a socket that fits nicely to the same diameter as the plastic bushing, but make sure that it will slide freely. See, this one's actually getting stuck. That one's a little bit too small. If you go hammering it or pressing that, you're going to get the socket stuck onto your bolt and probably ruin the threads on it. So just keep checking a few, and that one should work perfect right there. Nice loose fit, but it still fits against the plastic bushing pretty good. And obviously you don't want a socket so big that it'll go close to the edge of this, because it could just fold over and you'd end up pressing this into the socket instead. Alright, so now we're back at the truck. This is actually on the 85 Blazer, and you see one difference here. Your bolt in the front door, because you only have the two front doors, is locked in place like the rear doors of the Suburban. So if you have a Blazer, you don't have to worry about taking your panel off. And actually, if you look, because the panel's already off this one anyway, there's no access holes really. This one you couldn't really do much with, so, but you don't have to worry about it on these, so that makes it even easier. So you're going to take your threaded washer, spin that back up on there, and then take your other two washers, slide them on there and just thread it in. They're usually pretty much center up on its own where it was. You might be able to shift it around a little bit. I always like to put them back where they were originally. And if you need to adjust it later on, you can do that, but I would suggest starting out with where it originally was. There we go. You can see that's where it's been striking. It's actually not even round there anymore. So you get a pretty good idea where it was. And then we'll check the door. It's nice. Nice quiet. Latches. Doesn't shake. That's much nicer. Alright. So you're going to want to take this bolt loose. See, that's a little bit of a loose fit, but I don't have a ton of tools here at the building to have something that fits perfect, but these can be pretty tight or they might not be. Like that one. That one's probably been taken loose before from factory. They usually have thread lock on them, which can be a bit hard to get loose, but I'm guessing this one's probably been taken loose before. Take it out, slide it, just toss it down on the floor. may want to move your seat forward or back depending on which way you want to go. You could be in the back seat and take the screws out. Either way, it doesn't matter. Screws down the floor, don't let them run off like that. And you notice I'm using all hand tools. I'm not real big on using power tools when they're not necessary. It's just more chance of something breaking. I like to at least try with regular hand tools before I get, a drill to try to take these screws out, or, putting an impact on this bolt. To me, it's just better if you do it by hand. And in this situation, it's really not going to save you a lot of time anyway to use power tools. He's missing a screw. Then you're just going to kind of pull on a little bit. Of course, it gets stuck on the carpet. You can usually squeeze this out between here without taking the top piece loose here. You may want to loosen those screws if it's really giving you a problem, but there we go. Get it out there, then we'll come right up. And then down here's the access panel. Of course, you're not gonna be able to see in there, but it comes down a little bit further than this, and that plate will be sitting there. Now, of course, if you're doing this yourself, probably what you want to do is just go ahead and take this panel off first, and then get this bolt loose, and then you can just stand on the other side and loosen it and hold the piece of metal at the same time. I just wanted to show you what happens, and if you do drop it, it's not a big deal. The first time I did it, I was a little worried. I was thinking this was going to be sealed up, and I was going to have to do something crazy just to get the plate back. But now you probably will. If it does drop, you probably have to get a magnet and pick it up. Okay, so there's your plate, and like I said, it is pretty thick, pretty heavy. The magnet's barely got enough power to pick it up, but it's not a very strong magnet. So, and you can look in there, you can probably see which way it goes in. Put it in like that. You can see where the paint's taken off of it. So, alright. So now that you got the plate, just take it like this, reach in from here, put it through. And it's also shaped to where it won't spin. So once you get it threaded, you could let go of it. Starting out, I just like to put it right back in the same position it was. And we'll tighten it down, see how well the door works now. You can also see generally where it was too, how tight it was. By the mark on there is usually going to be straight up and down. Right there. Now, see the difference in the door. There you go. You can really push it really light now, and it'll latch. A lot better than it was. There you go. There you got a half latch. But then you can also shove them like that. And usually when there's no bushing on there, if you half latch it, you can't do that. It'll just keep bouncing back and forth. But now it's quieter as opposed to A little bit quieter, not a ton, but it's definitely a lot better. So once you get that, you just put your panel back on, and you're done. And then once I'm done with this one, we'll do one of the back ones. It's actually basically the exact same, except it's even easier. The plate that's in here does stay in place, so you don't have to worry about it falling down. But we'll just throw this panel back on real quick. And of course it's the same for the other side. So the front one, you're gonna have to take this panel off first. And like I said, that's the best thing to do, is to take it off first, so you can just hold that plate while you take it loose. That way you don't have to worry about getting it back out of the body there. Push it down, and then you just gotta throw your screws back in, put your seatbelt on, and that one's done. These screws, I don't suggest putting extremely tight. It's just going through a very thin piece of metal. There's not really any thread there. It's basically just a hole that's a little bit smaller than the screw, and it's, you know, like that. You're basically threading it into something about as thin as your fingernail or something. So you don't want to crank down on them. And it looks like somebody did on that one. That's why the screw is missing, because it's not even tightening down. So let's see if I can just pull that out with the magnet. Yep, that's another good handy thing to have a magnet for. There you go. So that explains the missing screw there. You could get a bigger screw. I bought these at Lowe's. You can get a package of them. I have to see if I can find a package of them so we can see them. They don't have the self-cutting edge here, but it's not really necessary if you're just replacing something that already had a screw there before. And you can get a larger size that will still thread into these. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's 8 and 10s. As far as screws, I can't remember which one is the smaller one or which one's the bigger one. I don't know if it's like wire gauge, where the smaller the number, actually the bigger it is, or vice versa. But I have to look, see if I can find some of those. So you can replace these, because some of these get kind of nasty looking. If you're redoing your interior like I did in my 91, you might want to replace these just so they look a little nicer. So we'll go around here, put the seatbelt back, and then it's done. Just gonna grab this. Down. Down pretty good, and just gotta pop that back on there. All right. So now we'll do the back one real quick, and I'll try this one with the hammer. The pins are exactly the same, but I'll try it with a hammer in case somebody doesn't have a little bearing press or something. That way we can see how difficult it is. I haven't actually tried that yet, so let's see how well it works. Tap it in there so you get a good bite. Now if you did run into a problem to where the star shape in here gets messed up, you probably take a pipe wrench, run it up like this, and pull it up, and it probably would grab it fine. But they're really not generally too tight, and I kind of doubt that anybody's taken these loose before. So now this same thing, you can adjust this around, but when you take this bolt out, it should not, the inner nut shouldn't fall down. I don't like to mess with them too much, but it looks like it's probably plated in better, because otherwise you'd have to take this whole piece out, and that's a little bit more work. So, but it should stay right in there. Got your bolt, and we'll go see if we can get a bushing on there with a hammer. So the main thing is just make sure you're holding it flat and as even as you can. Hopefully you guys can see here the light is not very good in here either. And just maybe tap it lightly first to get it set, and you can probably feel it, and you can see that it's starting to spread a little bit. So I really think this will be pretty easy. Oh yeah. So really not at all necessary to have a vise. You'll see that it'll peel a little bit of the plastic off, but it's set all up against it. It's in good shape. So we're done already. So easy to use a hammer on it. You don't really need to press. When I did it the first time, I didn't know how tight they were going to be. When I first did them on the 91, I figured that they would just slip on there, but I guess it's pressed a little bit to keep it from sliding back and forth. It's also possible maybe these are for a door pin that's slightly smaller, but they work great. So regardless, I think it's a really good bushing. I haven't had any problems out of the ones on the truck yet. Slide that back on again. You can see the kind of the squared off pattern there. All right, back out to the truck. Just stick it in there and thread it into the bolt. Put it on there, and it usually seems to center up pretty well with where it was anyway. But again, I like to put them where they were to begin with. If you do have some problems with the door closing, like it feels like the door's trying to rise up in order to latch or drop down, then obviously you could adjust this. And this one looks like it's gonna go in a slightly different spot now. It might have been striking in the front though. Really, I imagine that that's where you should see the mark, because that's just from the latch hitting it here. I think when you're getting marks up here, it's probably because the door's starting to sag a little bit on the hinges. But it's tight now. See how it works. There you go. That was with one finger, all the way from full open, and it's slightly on an incline as well. The truck's leaning this way. One finger. Quieter. Latches really, and also if your doors rattle, see if I can get it to do it on the other side. So if your door rattles when it's fully latched, like that, you can hear that, and it's just it moving on that pin because there's no bushing there. It will also take care of that, unless it's extremely bad. That one does it a little bit too. One door on the 91, it was apparently hit on the passenger side at one time, and so the door leans out a lot up here. You can see this one's pretty even. This truck was taken care of very well. It was pretty much just a one owner, and they took care of it, but it's still got a tiny bit there, but you really have to yank on it. So it'll definitely take out some of that rattle too, usually on the doors. All right guys, so that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and take care of the other two on the other side, but I'm not gonna film that. It's identical. Just take your panel off for the front, and then the back one's really simple. So I hope you like this video. If you have any suggestions or comments, if there's something you want to see fixed on one of these vehicles, leave it in the comments below, and I'll definitely keep a list. I've got a pretty big list already of just stuff that I already knew I was planning on fixing. But if you'll have a comment, let me know about the lighting conditions. I know it's not great in the building there, but I'm going to try to work on that, getting some work lights set up. And yeah, just any comments, let me know, and we'll see you soon.
Hey guys, I wanted to add this here at the end of the video real quick to give you a kind of a list of some of the things I'll be doing in the future. On the 88 Suburban, I'll be doing a heater core on that one, so it'll be removing the dash and of course draining the coolant and replacing the vents in the dashboard when we have it off. I'll also be doing the AC system, so it'll be covering the condenser, compressor, dryer, and evaporator. So I'll be doing pretty much everything other than the lines themselves. I'll be doing some work on the back end of it too, replacing the bumper in the back and fixing some rust back there. And I'll go into a little bit more detail in the actual video about that, of course. I may be doing a small lift kit in the truck, probably 2 inches. So if I end up doing that, I'll definitely cover everything involved with that. It's got an issue as well with the headlights. It sounds like it might be somewhat common. I have read some things online in forums about it. Other people having the same problem. There was never really any fixes, though, listed. But when you turn your high beams on, after a few minutes of them being on, they'll start flashing on and off. And so I'll be fixing that in the future. Also doing some replacing the trim around the body, which will also involve some paint work, probably some Bondo, sanding, work on that. I'll be doing a video about replacing the differential fluid and the cover gasket on the front and rear differentials. I also have a short video too of replacing interior bulbs. Now, of course, your regular interior bulbs are not that hard to replace. You've got the one pretty much above your head in the driver's seat, and then in the back, those are pretty easy. You pretty much just squeeze the cover and pop the bulb in and out. But I'll also be doing the ones in the gauge cluster, which is possible to do without taking the cluster out. But I'll probably go ahead and illustrate both. Just if it's a little difficult, you have to snake your hands up behind the dash in order to do it. So if you're somebody that's got really big hands or something, or you don't want to be laying on the floor trying to reach up through the dashboard to replace them, then I'll show you how to take the gauge cluster out to replace them. And maybe doing some door visors. The 88 actually does not have the little visors above each window. They're kind of nice to have if you want to have the windows rolled down a little bit if it's raining or something. You don't get a bunch of rain coming in. And other than that, I think that's about it that I have listed for the 88 right now. But then on the 91 coming up, I'll be doing front brakes. That's going to be a fairly big video because I'll be covering removing the calipers, the pads, but also removing your either manual locking hub or automatic, depending on what your vehicle has, as well as taking the bearings out. I'll be covering replacing the bearing races in the hub and how to replace the rotor. So it'll be a pretty big video. At some point, we'll probably also be doing some back brakes, so be doing the drums and everything. Also, probably do a video showing you how to do a brake fluid flush and explaining the reasons for doing that. Eventually, I want to replace the tailgate on the 91 Suburban. It's pretty banged up, and it's very hard to open and close anymore. So I'm hoping to get a replacement tailgate, either a brand new one or a used one from a salvage yard or something. And again, on the 91, I may be doing leaf springs on it. If I do it on that one, I'll definitely probably do a 2-inch lift or 2.5. I'm not going to go too crazy on it, but both the passenger side leaf springs are bent actually on the 91 Suburban, so it actually sits a little bit lower on the passenger side, so I'm hoping that'll level it back up. It also has a body lift, and I'll probably be fixing that a little bit. It's sitting on top of the factory mounts, which is a somewhat common thing for people to do, but the bushings, the original body mounts, are disfigured and very hard, so it also may be causing it to sit a little crooked, so I may go into replacing that. Other than that, on the 91, I'll probably doing some high idle issues. It does idle fast even once it's gotten warm, so I'll be doing some testing and stuff on that. I will do a video also of setting timing and setting base idle, which will probably kind of come into the same video as the high idle problem. I'm probably be doing that in one or two videos together. That'll be coming up. The cruise control on the truck also has to be fixed. There's a hole in the diaphragm, so I'll be replacing the main diaphragm part for the cruise control and making sure all that works out. Eventually I hope to do a test for the ABS system, because the ABS light is on in the 91 and I'd like to get it fixed. I'll also be doing a video at some point of taking your door panels off so you can get to your window regulator and electric motor. Especially the driver's side window of the 91 is really slow, and I'd like to get that fixed and get it to roll up and down faster. So I'll be doing a couple of videos on that as well. And also, again, on the 91, the engine got run low on oil at one point, and it has a little bit of it's kind of hard to explain, but it has a noise right when you first fire it up. If you've ever changed oil on a car and not filled your oil filter up, and you just let it fill it up when you start, and you hear kind of a rattle or knocking almost noise, and then it goes away as soon as it gets oil pressure. It does that every time, because more than likely the crank bearings are worn significantly from having low oil in it. And so I may be doing a video for replacing your crank and rod bearings. And of course that'll involve also taking your oil pan off and the gaskets and stuff like that. So that'll probably be a video. And then on the 85 Blazer, I have the interior's pulled out of it right now. So it's bare metal. I had to do a lot of rust repair on it. And so I hope to be doing a video pretty soon on installing the EVP coating on the floors, the heat shield, and then installing new carpet on it, which of course also will cover installing the seats and the seat belts and the trim stuff back inside the vehicle. And on the 85 coming up pretty soon, hopefully, I'll be doing an engine swap in the 85. Right now it has a carbureted engine like it would have originally. It does not have what they called the electronic carburetor that had the sensors on it. It was kind of right before they went to throttle body injection. But it has an Edelbrock carburetor on right now, but I'll be switching that over to hopefully a TBI engine, the throttle body injection engine. So I'll be going over, pulling the engine out. I'll be taking pretty much as much out of the engine compartment as I possibly can to clean it really nice, and then it'll be taking out the wiring harness and putting in the wiring harness from the donor vehicle, and then the engine, transmission, transfer case. A lot of that's going to be different, and so that'll be kind of a long segment, and hopefully if y'all are interested in seeing that, I'll definitely do that. And then I'll probably do a video as well about doing ring and pinion in your differentials. I have done it in the Blazer, but one of them needs to be redone, so I'll be doing a video on that at some point. So that'll be covering backlash and pinion depth, preload on your bearings, all that stuff, all the parts. I try to always include as many tools and stuff that you'll need to do those, so that'll be a pretty big segment as well. And also real quick, another few ideas on things that I'll be doing is possible doing U-joints in your drive shafts, and axle shafts as well, and doing any of the body work and more auto paint parts of it as well, if y'all are interested in seeing that. The 85, you'll see that was the first vehicle I ever, and the only vehicle that I've ever sprayed with actual car paint. But I may be doing that more in the future as well. And if it interests y'all, some of the parts will be taken off. I may actually disassemble to kind of explain how they work. One of the things I was mainly thinking of is like the AC parts, the AC compressor and stuff like that. So I just wanted to give you this quick list so you all kind of have an idea of what I'll be doing in the future as far as videos. If you have any suggestions or other repairs that I haven't mentioned that you'd like to see, let me know, and I'll see what I can do about doing those. All right, thank you guys. See ya.